Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever, and hello to anyone new visiting today. The main question I've got to ask you though is, have you got an upcoming ACCA computer-based exam? And if the answer to that is yes, well, you're definitely in the right place, because today I'm going to be going through directly from ACCA's website an actual resource from past paper questions that were set in 2019 with advice for students that have upcoming ACCA computer-based exams and where they make mistakes. So in other words, by the end of this video you will know what to do and what not to do as well. So I'm going to take you through as usual. I'll also put for you just up here now all of my other ACCA exam tips, so if you click that button you're going to get all of my videos on there. If you're not subscribed already, feel free to as well, so you get access to all of my free resources. The button should be down below, and again it's all designed 100% student-led as ever, so feel free to drop a comment and I'll answer absolutely every single one of them, and we can do some more videos as well to help you out. So without further ado, let's start to have a look at the video. So to start us off so that you're in the best position here, I've put the link to the actual document in the description of this video below, so if you go down there, click on it, you can actually see what I have on my screen as we talk it through. But come on, we've got to add some value on here. This is the document that you'll be able to access, and these are my notes that we'll be going through today to help you out as much as I can. So this is an actual analysis as to if you've got a computer-based exam coming up for ACCA. This was to do with the financial reporting examination, but it applies and overlaps to other areas as well for technique, mistakes that are made, and areas to help you out. These are the key things that I picked up that I know will help you out in your upcoming examinations. So let's get stuck into it. So on the first page, as you can see on my screen, we've actually just got a general introduction here about the actual sample questions. So it's all about the actual content as you go through the document. These are things that have happened in the past, but in essence it's all about how to prepare yourself better for your computer-based examination. The key thing on here, as you can see on my screen, is the ACCA practice platform. I will put the actual link to this into the description below, but I would highly recommend going on there and practicing this style of question so you get used to actually know how the system functions, because that is going to be one of the main areas you'll see as we go through here where students will make mistakes and they will drop marks. So that is one of the first things. If you've got a pen and paper next to you right now, that ACCA practice platform is your first go-to area on the first sheet on here. So let's start to keep going through on here. So this is the actual process as you are going through it in your computer-based examination. And I've highlighted and underlined in my analysis all the key areas that I thought really stood out and things that will definitely add value in your upcoming examination. So in yellow, just to kick us off, the examination is reflective on the constructed response selection of the live exam in terms of how it will be structured and assessed. So in other words, what we're going through here is when you're sat in front of your computer, this is how it's going to go, and this is how you need to actually operate the system. Be warned is the main thing, that people will make mistakes. So the live exam will have a time limit, so just like an actual real pen and paper exam. So first things first, if you haven't already, make sure you actually have a clock actually in view that you can see as well, because time management will be critical in this. We've also got on there, use the relevant solution material. So this relates to any other actual aspects on that you have available, such as, I don't know, the PV factor tables, but this was actually based on, well, it was a 2019 paper where they've got relevant solutions for you to go through as well. So make sure you find the solutions. What I'll do for you as well is I'll put at the top of the video right now actual solutions to the overview of an actual past paper exam for financial reporting if you're doing that exam, and my exam tips as well, all based on the channel to help you guys out. The final thing at the bottom here in terms of the live exam that I've highlighted is you'll be able to highlight and strike through text in the question scenario. Now this is fundamental, another note to get down in terms of your question analysis, picking up the key terms, the key dates, and what the requirement is actually asking you for as well. So trying to recreate what a pen and paper exam does, but the highlight can be key, so it highlights any key aspects, key words or key terms that you find in the question that you need to refer to. A technique that ACCA tend to use is they will ask two requirements, or they'll want two answers, actually within one question as well. And if you don't answer both of those aspects, you're limiting yourself to half marks on there, I'm afraid. So definitely something to watch out for that they're trying to highlight for you on this part of the question paper here. So now we've got the actual induction screens on here. So the instructions, we'll get there. We'll get in there. Professional as ever. The instructions displayed below are representative of those displayed in the live exam. So in other words, if you've got a live exam, you need to know how this is actually going to be operational, as you can see from my notes on the side. But you'll have and available for a maximum of 10 minutes prior to the exam starting. So if it was me and I was doing an examination, I'd be there 10 minutes, making sure my connection's good, making sure I've got all my water, all my actual tools around me, I'm all set up, I've got all my distractions out the way, and I'm good to go when they hit the buzzer to say, you begin now, as if it was a real exam. Remember, if you fail to prepare, you've got to prepare yourself to fail. So, be warned, that was one of the first things they put in the general instructions as well. If you're not prepared for this, you could be in trouble. The next things in terms of the live exam, they've stated the exam time will automatically start once the 10-minute period has passed. So again, this is where you will know that at, say, 10 past or on the hour, that is when the live exam goes live and you are ready to get going straight there and then. So make sure you've been to the toilet beforehand, make sure you've got all distractions out of the way, Wi-Fi is working particularly well, and there are no other distractions in the room as well, which you shouldn't have. Onto the answering and navigating. So these are just operational points that, again, if you actually log online and try some of the practice papers, you'll get better and better at them as well. So I'd highly recommend that you do them to time, review your answers, and then check back to how you've answered it and what they were looking for. So, as ever, please read the question carefully, maintaining that actual focus. The top display bar as well will show the question number, so making sure that you know how it is operating and you don't answer the wrong question in the wrong tab. That is what they're getting at there. You don't want to answer question 4 in the question number 1 box. That's what it's referring to there. You can navigate each screens by the next and previous. Again, it'll be a case of just making sure it's up and running so that you are comfortable using the actual software. A warning message may display, when it's not viewed all of the question content. Ensure that you can see all of the scroll bars, so if there are any issues, it will show you on the screen. You've just got to be aware and how to adapt to that as well. But maybe have a go on one of the practice questions, actually attempt to get it wrong, do something incorrect, and see how it actually results from it, I would say so. Think of the worst case scenario. On here as well, the next point as we go down, some questions have a scenario and answer area divided by either a horizontal or vertical splitter bar. So that is a case of you've got to know the format of the actual online examination and what you are required and where you are able to and should answer as well. We're going to come on to a point later on which I know students are going to make a mistake on as well by not putting the answers in the correct place. And exactly, we've got ticks there for actually please ensure you provide all answer elements as well, all your workings, and attempt all the questions. So some fundamental bits in there, but mainly operational, but at least you now know where to access them. So, nicely moving on to the actual instruction screens as well. So, these are the next areas for flagging and reviewing. So, you can actually flag on the actual online assessment area if you want to flag a question to come back to it, or you can maybe write this down on a piece of paper next to you, whatever works best for you. The main thing here is that you are key to time, and if you need to move on from a question, make sure you do so, because I'd rather answer questions that I know and I'm good at to get me closer to that 50 as well. There are other aspects on here, so there are help areas for formula sheets, tax tables, if your actual exam requires this, okay? And it's got on there where you can actually find them in the help button and how it all functions. If you've got tax tables or PV factor tables, make sure you've practiced beforehand and how it fits on your screen. That's a massive tip because sometimes it can take over the whole screen and it might actually take over the question. Just be careful on that. Calculator, you can use an on-screen standard or a scientific calculator. Live exam, you're also permitted to use your own calculator. So again, comes with practice. If you're taking too long to actually use the on-computer calculator, get your own as if it was an actual hard paper, pen and paper exam, and use that way. Whatever method works best for you is the main bit of advice there. but you've got to practice it. That's the main thing. Don't turn up on exam day and just expect yourself to actually know the functions of an online computer on a system you've not tested before. But again, balls in your court on that. And you can also test when the Wi-Fi is particularly good and which devices you need to actually log off from it as well. That would be another thing I'd recommend. So, workings and Scratchpad. And as you can see on my screen, and I'll put the mouse on it, key point here. Okay, when I read this, I went, oh my gosh, people are going to make a mistake here. So you've got an on-screen Scratchpad to make notes and /workings by selecting the Scratchpad. So I went, oh, that sounds quite nifty. The Scratchpad retains all notes and workings entered. Fantastic. But they will not be submitted for marking after your live exam. So in other words, if you leave things in this Scratchpad, that is not going to get marked as it stands. I've highlighted it here. They will not be submitted for marking after your live exam. So the mistake some students are going to make is they're going to leave it in the Scratchpad and not transfer it to the answer box. So make sure, if you've got pen and paper, note it down when you're practicing on the online platform. Where's this Scratchpad? But then where's my answer box and where does it all need to go to? That is going to be fundamental, I think. Also important on here, we've got the notes and workings entered into the Scratchpad during the live exam will not be marked. Highlighted again for the second time. You must show them within the answer area. Third time in terms of showing workings and where to put them. It's almost as if they're trying to tell you there are people that are going to make a mistake on this. I'm going to tell you 3 times, and if you don't understand it by the 3rd time, then that's it, I'm afraid. So you've been warned. Make sure you're aware of it and make sure you're practicing it. The only other thing at the bottom here we have is the insert symbol. So add a selection of currency symbols on there in case you've got any foreign currency. So that is going to be relating into, if you've got financial accounting, that is going to be involved in there where you have to translate it potentially from, say, euros into pounds or pounds into dollars, for example, that they may be needed, but they're in the top toolbar. So if you think there's going to be a foreign currency question actually used within this, and you need to actually be aware of this, make sure you know where to find it. So, moving on to the actual next tab now, as we come down. So we've got the actual navigation screen on here. So the key things that I've highlighted for us to go through now are to jump to any question in the exam. So say if you've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and you want to jump back to number 2, this is where you need to use the navigation screen, or you might have actually highlighted it to come back. But again, this is a bit more operational, but you know, you've got to be comfortable with the system. That's the key thing. I don't want to be wasting time understanding the system when the exam time is ticking. As we all know, there is limited time in an ACCA exam. There's no Fergie time for any Man United fan out there as well. It also allows you to see the status of each question. So if you've completed it, you've checked it off. So that could be a good thing psychologically to say, I'm happy with that. I can maybe come back to it at the end for 5 minutes just to double check it. So you can complete it or incomplete and flag for review. But that's going to come down to your own preferences and practice going through it. The ball is really in your court on that one. Reviewing the exam, so you can review the exam once you've attempted all or some of the actual questions. So you can go back and see which sort of stage you're at on there as well. Clicking the next button. But these are the key steps for actually reviewing your exam and actually how it goes down as well in terms of, well, what process am I most comfortable with? Am I just going to go questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, do my best shots, or am I going to go read all the questions through? I quite like 1, 3 and 6 to start off with and then keep going back, but it's going to come down to practice using the system for you on there. So again, complete, incomplete, flagging, and you've also got unseen and blank. So when you've not yet viewed the question, or if it's just been completely left blank overall. I think the reason why they've actually stated this is because some people won't know how to work the system, they won't have done any practice papers on this, and it's just going to be a case of be left blank. Happy days for the marker, but not happy days for you if you've actually need those marks to get you over that 50 bracket as well. So just be careful, keep practicing them going through. Coming on to revisiting questions, so you've got to be aware of the process. Again, it's very operational on this, it's new. So that is the key thing here. Have a look on their website for the actual processes. So you've also got, check out my other videos on here to actually help. What I can do for you is put in the description below. I think I've got over 20 exam tips on here now. How best you can be the most productive, efficient, different techniques, where to find resources. They're all free, and again, as I always say, feel free to subscribe as well, because I know it's going to benefit you. They're all based on my experiences, how to help you get over that 50 mark and to complete and to become qualified ACCA. So, coming on to other things on here about exiting the exam. And this is where I think you've got to be really careful on this, because some people, as I've put down here, is don't just shut down and close the program. It's actually saying there is a process to it where once you have completed the item and you wish to finally end the exam, you've got to actually click the end exam button as well. So I wouldn't leave it up to the software and me just deleting everything or shutting down. Click the end exam button so that it's final and it will be submitted. There will probably be a screenshot on there to say, yes, you have completed it as well. But definitely don't just shut it down, because then you're leaving the ball in someone else's court rather than you having control. That's the other thing on there. So, moving down onto the final one here on the actual exam summary sheet. Key thing to note down, again on your pen and paper, you're going to have your 3 hours, give or take. Yes, you've got that 15 minutes of reading time that has been converted now, but I like to keep a bit at the end as well to review and to actually go back through the questions. In essence, you've got 180 minutes for 100 marks, so 1.8 minutes per mark. So, for example, if you've got a 20-mark question, you've only got 36 minutes, like in the real exam, or if it's a 40-mark question, you've got an hour and 12. Be cautious to time and be strict on it as well. Work out what works best for you in terms of managing this, and just get into that right psychological mindset as to, I can't spend any more time on this, I've got to move on. There are other marks out there for me to get as well. Plus, I've got to leave myself a few marks at the end to fish out. That is hopefully going to get me over that line. So the actual practice questions we've got on here were 20 marks and 40 marks. I've put them in the description below so that you can actually attempt them for the financial reporting exam, and I've got other videos on other ones as well. Final ones at the bottom, they've labelled it as important. In the response area provided, any answers enter into a response area provided for a different question will not be marked, okay? So in other words, if you've got the answers to question 3 and you put that in question 2, that won't be marked. So it's going to come with practice, staying focused, staying alert, and making sure you're answering the right area. Mistakes will be made on this. Heed my warning. Trust me, it's going to happen. Show all notes and workings. As ever, that's just the fundamentals, the bread and butter of an ACCA exam. Markers to see within the actual response area provided for the question, okay, so not that scratch pad. Remember, any notes or workings made on the scratch pad or on your workings paper will not be marked. Deep breath. You know what to do now. That is fundamental going into your online computer-based exam, where you're going to get the marks. You've got the process to go through it now, top to bottom as well. And nice message at the end there as well. All in a day's work. So, plenty of points there that are really going to help you with your upcoming ACCA exam that is computer-based, so you are not going to make those silly mistakes that are going to help you to get over that 50 mark so that you pass your upcoming exam. Trust me on it. The more practice you do on these, the better off you're going to become. What I've done for you as well is if you click up here, you can have access to all of my other materials and exam tips. Feel free to use them as well and share them with your friends so it actually helps them out as well. As you know, the actual channel is completely 100% student-led, so thank you, Mark, out there for your message on Instagram to actually create this video. And if you've got any comments that you would like me to do on future videos as well, ping it in below. I answer absolutely all of them and really appreciate all the feedback as well. So, I know this is a difficult time, and for everyone watching around the world this video, I really would like to wish my best wishes to all your friends and family in these difficult times, and best of luck with your upcoming examination as well. But as always on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers.